Imagine a world where everyone spoke the same language. Communication was perfect. But this unity led to a huge project. And then, everyone scattered. It's a super interesting puzzle we're looking at today. Welcome to our show, where we dive into amazing old stories.
That's right, A. We're so happy to have you back for episode 10. This story is part of our Jewish Tales. It's from the Beginnings series. These are important stories that help us understand the world.
Our story comes from Jewish traditions. You might know it as the Tanakh. This is episode number 10. We're going to dive deep into a very important old book.
We want to share these Bible stories with you, and we want to give you time to think about them. We think it will take about 12 to 18 minutes. That way, you can really understand each part of the story.
The main Bible story we'll talk about today is the Tower of Babel. You can find it in the book of Genesis. It's in chapter 11, verses 1 to 9.
We suggest you read the whole story if you can. You can do that before our show starts. We'll just focus on one or two special verses. These verses are super important for today's episode.
So, this episode about the Tower of Babel, it helps us see where this story fits in the big Bible picture. We'll talk about beginnings. We'll also talk about being free and how God and people connect.
Our goal is to make the story come alive for you. We want to show the human and spiritual lessons and how it can still mean something special to you today.
Our outline will guide us. First, we'll start with a human question to get into the story. Then, we'll talk about the Bible's background and the people involved.
Next, we'll tell the story of the Tower of Babel. We'll look at the big turning point and what happened next. Then we'll explore the story's deeper meaning and how it can help us today.
And as always, we'll finish with a conclusion, a prayer, and a question for all of you listening.
To kick things off, we love to start with a question just for you. For example, what does the Tower of Babel story tell us about our choices, our worries, our hopes, or how we connect with God?
This is a great way to show that we're not just telling an old story. We want to show how this tale shines a light on things people still go through today.
Now, let's look at the Bible's background for this story. It's super important to place this story in the very first parts of Genesis. We'll also explain its special job in the whole Bible.
Before the story, people had lived through the Great Flood. God had made a promise not to destroy the earth with water again. Back then, everyone was one big family, speaking just one language.
So, the main people in our story are Noah's family, all of humanity together. The place is a big flat area called the Plain of Shinar, where they decided to settle down. The problem starts because they all had a big dream together.
Indeed, the story says, the whole world had one language and the same words. As they journeyed from the east, they found a plain in the land of Shinar and settled there.
From there, they made a big decision together. They said, come on, let's make bricks and bake them in the fire. The bricks became their stone, and tar became their mortar. This was a super clever building trick for that time.
But their dreams went much bigger than just building. They said, come on, let's build a city and a tower that reaches all the way to the sky. We want to make a name for ourselves so we won't be scattered all over the earth.
That's when the Lord stepped in. The story tells us. The Lord came down to see the city and the tower that the people were building.
And God saw what was happening. He said, look, they are all one people and they all speak the same language. This is just the beginning of what they'll do. Soon, nothing will stop them from doing whatever they imagine.
The big moment arrived. God decided to stop their project. He said, come on, let's go down and mix up their language there, so they won't understand each other anymore.
The immediate result was clear, so the Lord scattered them from there all over the face of the earth, and they stopped building the city. That's why the city was called Babel, because there the Lord mixed up the language of the whole world, and from there the Lord scattered them everywhere.
This story gives us lots of important lessons. From the human side, it shows us the fear of being spread out, the wish for safety, and being important. But it also shows a mistake in having too much ambition.
Spiritually, this story shows God watching what people do. He doesn't like when they're too proud. But He's also kind, scattering them instead of destroying them.
And in the Bible, this story gets us ready for what happens next. It's when God calls Abraham. God chooses a special group of people. He makes a promise to them. This happens in a world where everyone speaks different languages now.
It's important not to think this story is too simple. It doesn't just tell us what's right or wrong. It helps us understand why people do things and how God reacts. We need to remember the tricky parts of the story.
Today, this story helps us think about our own lives. It makes us think about big choices we make, about times when things change, and when we get fresh starts. Where do we see Babel towers in our own lives?
We can ask ourselves, does this remind me of anything in my life? Maybe a time when I needed to make a big choice, or change something, like a plan that was too big, or wanting to be in charge of everything.
To think even more about it, we could do something simple this week, or just read this Bible story again by ourselves. and think about what it means for us.
So, the Tower of Babel reminds us of something important. Even with all our choices, and our weaknesses, and big changes, God's bigger story with people keeps going on.
This story keeps us wondering about our place in the world, about what we can and can't do, and how we connect with God. It also gets us ready for our next episode. We'll learn about the first steps of God's special promise.
To finish up, we offer you this prayer. Dear Lord, please open our minds to your word. Through the story of the Tower of Babel, help us see our own struggles, to welcome your call, and to move forward with more truth, trust, and faithfulness. Amen.
And for you, dear listeners, we leave you with this question. What part of the Tower of Babel story connects most with your life today?
Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of our next episodes. We'll see you next time.